Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. John, you never talk about Jerry Seinfeld. I know, right? It's so much press. Jerry was asked about his debate with Marc Maron. Maron believes in bearing his soul on stage. Jerry believes in fidelity to the joke. Jerry said, my attitude, I think, was more talking to comedians. I think comedians, if they want to survive throughout their life doing this, they have to pay close attention to the laughs. There's no less value in what Maron's doing, but I would worry about how long it would last in your life. Maron's done okay, but yeah, that's a good point. We're both right, just different. Jerry himself wants to do stand-up to the very end of life. The only hard part of my life is the other things. People do ask me about slowing down, and I go, the work part of my life is not stand-up, it's all the other things. Stand-up is an incredible, pure experience. Surfing is the great regret of my life that I never got good at. I did it for 2 weeks one time many years ago. Feeling that energy, that natural life force energy under you and around you, I never get tired of that. Will Jerry do another stand-up special? Nope. I'd love to think of something else if I ever want to do it, which I don't right now. Like comedians in cars getting coffee. The subtext of that is I'm really sick of talk shows on TV. That's why I did that. That was my anti-talk show. So I'd want to do an anti-stand-up special if I did one. I envy sometimes these little Italian artisans who don't really care if anybody knows who they are or what they do. And stand-up could be like that. Stand-up, in a way, is a kind of private, lonely world. I'm going to Dayton on Friday. No one's going to know what happened there. I'm very attracted to that. I'm more attracted to that than, hey, everybody, I made a movie. He then compares that feeling to Seinfeld. When it started, we thought this would be a really fun little boutique thing that'll just get our people this kind of quirky offbeat thing, and that would be cool. What it became was never on our radar. Then suddenly you're a big wave surfer. I think it was tougher on Larry David than for me because you feel the pressure. I never minded the pressure. Tom Papa used to open for Jerry Seinfeld. He spoke to the Columbus Underground, and Tom said, I think the thing I'm most proud of is I've been able to stay positive and talk about the things that weren't cynical and be more hopeful, but also have it be really good. You can be naive, hacky, and goofy and serve that hopeful kind of thing, but I want it to be the standard I hold other comedians to and still not cave into being dirty, cynical, and dark. Tom talked about getting into comedy and says there are virtually no gatekeepers now. Like when I started, you had to get on The Tonight Show or Letterman and then ultimately HBO, and that was a very small group of people that got to do that. Now, you can do whatever you want. You can have your own podcast, you can put stuff up on social media, you can speak directly to the audience. I think it's been great that all these people are able to just kind of create your fan base and go out there and tour and do your thing. Variety spoke to Tony Hinchcliffe about the wonderful Kill Tony podcast, and we're curious his nuggets of inspiration for potential performers. Tony said it's a very dark, lonely road. It's the opposite of TikTok, where your content is immediately seen by a ton of people. You must be able to present it in a room and change your timing, not to be taken lightly. Someone going from TikTok and expecting to be a natural stand-up comedian is equivalent in my mind of someone being a good pop-a-shot basketball player, making as many as you can in 30 seconds, to being in the NBA. How many people from TikTok or Instagram Reels are even making it as a stand-up comedian? People get Matt Rife confused and blocked in with those people, but my take on Matt Rife is I knew him 11 years ago opening for Ralphie May. He was a little star. I bust all my comedians' friends' chops when they bring him up and speak negatively about him in the green room. He did the work, and he started young. He's built for it. Tony, do you feel your move from LA to Austin has hindered any opportunities? Tony said, it has hindered nothing. On the contrary, it's freeing to know we're focused on our stand-up comedy and podcast instead of being focused on LA or New York City cliches like auditions, pitch meetings, voiceover gigs, writing jobs, and other distractions that at best leave you with a boss, a lack of creative control, and probably wanting more money. By having our priorities be our own podcast and doing live shows regularly, we get better at those two things regularly, can all relate to one another and do each other's shows to promote the projects we care about. Boy, what great advice from Tony there. It might just be I'm at a stage in my own career where I don't want a boss. I like doing this podcast every day. Is it the biggest podcast in the world? No. Do some people think it sucks? Probably. Do I care? No. Would I like to make $1 million off it? Of course. I like money. You like money. We all like money. I'd love to be doing this show from, I don't know, Paris right now, but I'm in my basement. But creatively, boy, I'm having a ball doing this at our little podcast network project. This is great. Tony said, our favorite comedians from LA and New York come to us now. We only go there when we have to do big shows. People can have a career from anywhere now. Tony says comedians should utilize anything that happens to them for more material. Real comedy fans see through it. They want the line. They know the line. They love the line. I push it to the limits. I did P. Diddy jokes last weekend. I told Nickelodeon jokes, a Baltimore Bridge reference. People say, but what if somebody's family on the bridge sees that? Look, it's a different little island that we've created. It existed in Texas, obviously a staple of free speech, but while LA and New York have virtual signaled their way into what's right and wrong, we go forward here. The CBC spoke to Matt Hart and Ali Hassan about Kill Tony. Matt explains if you've never checked out Kill Tony. 200 or 300 people put their names in a hat at a huge comedy club called The Mothership, that's Rogan's place, in Austin, which is quickly becoming what Seattle was for grunge, but for comedy. If you get your name pulled, you're given 1 minute uninterrupted on stage to perform stand-up. Ali said of 60 seconds, it's very, very challenging. Sometimes if you have a weird look and you can lean into that immediately, that's a great gift. The CBC pointed out Mike Birbiglia, for example, is a storyteller who takes an hour to unfold his act, not the kind of act you'd see. Big cover story in Variety, Amy Schumer can't escape backlash, and she's okay with that. Variety writes, Amy Schumer was in the zone. This was in March when she was filming on the street in Brooklyn for her upcoming movie, Kinda Pregnant. In one take, Schumer emerged from a subway station while answering a phone call and was interrupted by a stranger shouting at her from the sidewalk, F you, Amy Schumer, you're a Zionist. You love genocide. Amy said, it didn't even raise my heart rate. I didn't cry, nothing. She says of her tendency to sound off, I can't help it. A lot of people can help it, but I've never been able to. But I also want to be helpful. Do you know what I mean? She weighed in on the Middle East, saying the focus is so razor sharp on Jewish people, but not on Hamas. It's very strange. So I'd recommend people read a book. It's called Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. As for Kinda Pregnant, Amy says I'm striving it for to be one of the 10 funniest movies of my lifetime. I thought she was going to say her career, her lifetime. Wow, I think it's going to be as funny as Trainwreck. While she was being interviewed, a woman walked up to the table and said to Amy Schumer while the interviewer happened to be there, thank you for everything you're doing for Israel. I follow you on social media. I used to live in Israel, and thank you. We support you. Amy said, that moment you just saw, maybe 10 times a day that happens to me. The article goes on to talk about the early parts of Amy's career. She noticed that male comedians did not get as much hate as she did. She said, people get really mad at women. They save a special kind of vitriol for us. It's not new. I think it's because they fear women. That's my guess. She's hoping Life and Beth will get a third season from Hulu. She says it has not been renewed yet. And as life keeps going, I'm not worried about running out of stuff to say. Tonight, 10 p.m., unless you're driving back from Cleveland, get in front of your TV. You can watch Netflix, Katt Williams Live. Oh, man, I want to say I can't wait, but I'm going to have to wait. I'll watch that one on Sunday. 7:30, John Mulaney in concert. All times Pacific. 8 o'clock, Shane Gillis, low tickets warning. 10 p.m., Chris Rock's Table Reads, low tickets warning. Join comedy icon Chris Rock as he hosts a table read of When Harry Met Sally. That's a good time. 7 o'clock, Daniel Tosh. 3 o'clock, Leanne Morgan. I hate the way this thing is laid out. As you hear me jumping back and forth on the various times, a lot of good stuff tonight. 7 o'clock, Kumail Nanjiani, Pete Holmes at 7, Eliza Schlesinger at 7, Roy Wood Jr. at 7 and 9:45. Natalie Palamides at 9:45. Howie Mandel and Arsenio Hall, 2 shows, 7:30, 10:30, and a whole bunch of shows I didn't read to you. All right, if you and I were there, would go see 3 o'clock, Leanne Morgan, 5 o'clock, because we wouldn't be in Cleveland, would be at the Netflix Is a Joke Comedy Festival in L.A., would have to hit Katt Williams. Wait, 5 o'clock Pacific is 8 o'clock. Have I been saying 10? At some point, they said this is 10. Let me clean this up here. So the original press release says May 4th, 7 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 Eastern, which is why I've been saying that. But on the festival website itself, it says 5 o'clock Pacific. Maybe it's not actually live? I don't know. Sit in front of Netflix for 4 hours tonight and see what happens. I don't know what to tell you with this. I think I figured it out. I think there are openers and Katt goes on at 10. All right, so we would go see Leanne Morgan, then Katt Williams. I don't know if I want to see Mulaney. Let's not do Mulaney. Let's do Pete Holmes is really good. Let's do Pete Holmes, and then let's do Natalie Palamides. How about that? And let me do Sydney real quick. I'll do Sydney a little more thorough next week. Between the Seinfeld and this Netflix festival, there's just so much to talk about. But should you find yourself in Sydney on Cinco de Mayo, Brody Snook's show is called Villain. I like this title here. Let's see. Every night, Brody Snook dreams of committing murder. What? Her doctor thinks she needs medication. Her best friend thinks she needs a thing that goes bzzz. You know what I'm saying. Yes, you do. Her accountant thinks she needs a real job. Brody reckons it's time to start playing the villain. The Age gave it 4 stars and says a masterful writer in outrageous form. Elliot Stewart's show is called Elliot Stewart Sucks at Talking to People, a crowdwork show. Drop the G there. I hear the queens come out sometimes. No reviews of that one. Okay, let's do one more. Emma Zamet's show is called Good Grief. We all know that grief has 5 stages. Denial, like, yeah, I'll be able to watch Katt Williams. I'm not in Cleveland. Anger, stupid Mike making me go to Cleveland. bargaining. Maybe if I leave early, I can be home and catch Katt Williams. Mike won't be too mad. Depression. I can't believe I missed Katt Williams for this thing. And finally, acceptance. I guess I was good that I was a good friend. I can always watch Katt Williams on Sunday. A list of stages that has left comedian and mother Emma Zamet scratching her head as to where lasagna drops fit in. Sounds like a good show, or maybe I just amused myself in the middle of that. Rob Schneider has told Catholic media outlet Church Pop, your home for comedy news, that Rob is working on a script for a feature film about the Shroud of Turin. What'd you think I was going to say? Yeah. Schneider told Church Pop, hopefully this movie about the Shroud will happen because I think it's about faith. I think we need that and to bring more people to it. And it's not necessarily to preach to them, but just to show them the actual sacrifice and to talk about what the core of Christianity is, loving others. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, you can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows. If you're like, I hate these commercials, well, open up Apple Podcasts, hit subscriptions, $4.99 a month. You got the show commercial free. Once I wake up, I've explained that. Show goes live with the commercials, 3:05 Eastern. Show goes live without the commercials when I wake up and publish it. Wish I could automate it. Talk to the back-end company today. They're working on it. See you tomorrow.